Folks, pickup trucks are the backbone of America, but not every truck that rolled off the assembly line was destined for greatness. Today, we're counting down 20 canceled pickup trucks that had everything going for them: innovative designs, powerful engines, loyal followings, but still got the axe. Some of these trucks were ahead of their time, others were killed by corporate politics, and a few were just plain bad ideas that somehow made it to production. From forgotten Ford experiments to Chevrolet's biggest mistakes, these are the pickup trucks that could have changed everything, but instead became cautionary tales. What went wrong? Let's find out. 20th truck, Chevrolet SSR. The Chevrolet SSR was GM's attempt to capture lightning in a bottle by combining retro styling with modern performance. But what they got was a confused vehicle that nobody really wanted. Built from 2003 to 2006, the SSR featured a retractable hardtop that turned it from a pickup into a convertible, which sounds cool until you realize it made the truck bed almost useless. The styling was pure early 2000s retro fever dream, trying to recapture the magic of classic hot rods, but ending up looking like a cartoon version of a real truck. Performance was initially disappointing with a weak V6 engine, though they eventually added an LS2 V8 that made it somewhat respectable. The problem was that the SSR didn't know what it wanted to be. Too impractical for real truck work, too expensive for most buyers, and too weird for mainstream acceptance. General Motors spent a fortune developing this niche vehicle during a time when they should have been focusing on bread and butter products. The SSR became a symbol of GM's confused priorities in the early 2000s, when they were chasing trends instead of building vehicles people actually needed. Today, clean SSRs are starting to appreciate among collectors who see them as interesting automotive curiosities, but they'll never be considered successful trucks. 19th truck, Ford Ranchero. The Ford Ranchero wasn't technically a pickup truck, but it filled the same role for buyers who wanted truck utility with car comfort, and Ford's decision to cancel it opened the door for competitors. Built from 1957 to 1979, the Ranchero was based on Ford's car platforms and offered a unique combination of style and practicality that appealed to suburban buyers. The early Rancheros were based on full-size Ford cars and offered genuine style with decent hauling capability, proving that truck buyers didn't always want utilitarian vehicles. As the years went on, Ford moved the Ranchero to smaller platforms, eventually basing it on the Torino and then the compact Fairmont, which made it more fuel-efficient but less capable. The Ranchero was popular with buyers who wanted something different from traditional pickups, offering car-like ride quality and handling with enough utility for weekend projects. But Ford was never fully committed to the concept, treating it as a niche product rather than a serious part of their truck lineup. When fuel economy became important in the late 1970s, Ford decided to focus on their traditional pickup trucks rather than continue developing the Ranchero. The cancellation left a gap in the market that Chevrolet filled with the El Camino, which continued until 1987 and proved there was still demand for car-based trucks. Today, Rancheros are popular with collectors who appreciate their unique styling and the way they represent a different approach to truck design. 18th truck, Dodge Rampage. The Dodge Rampage was Chrysler's attempt to create a small, fuel-efficient pickup based on their K-car platform, but it ended up being too car-like for truck buyers and too truck-like for car buyers. Built from 1982 to 1984, the Rampage was essentially a Dodge Omni with the back half chopped off and a small pickup bed grafted on. The concept made sense during the early 1980s fuel crisis when buyers wanted efficiency over capability, but the execution was problematic from the start. The Rampage's unibody construction made it lighter and more fuel efficient than traditional pickups, but it also made it less capable of handling real truck work. The bed was tiny, the payload capacity was limited, and the whole truck felt flimsy compared to real pickups from Ford and Chevrolet. Chrysler marketed it as a lifestyle vehicle for young buyers who wanted something sporty and efficient, but most truck buyers wanted capability over style. The front-wheel drive layout was efficient, but felt wrong to buyers who expected their trucks to be rear-wheel drive, and the car-based suspension couldn't handle heavy loads. Sales were disappointing from the start, and Chrysler quickly realized they'd created a vehicle that satisfied nobody's real needs. The Rampage was canceled after just 3 years, and Chrysler learned that you can't just chop up a car and call it a truck. 17th truck, Subaru Brat. The Subaru Brat was one of the weirdest pickup trucks ever built, and while it had a loyal following, it was too strange for mainstream success in the American market. Built from 1978 to 1987, the Brat featured Subaru's signature all-wheel drive system in a tiny pickup body that looked like nothing else on American roads. The most famous feature was the rear-facing jump seats in the bed, which were actually installed to circumvent import tariffs by classifying the Brat as a passenger vehicle rather than a truck. The Brat's small size and car-like unibody construction made it more like a tall car than a real truck, but the all-wheel drive system gave it capabilities that surprised bigger trucks. It was popular with outdoor enthusiasts who needed something that could get to remote locations but didn't need serious hauling capability. The problem was that most American truck buyers wanted size and power, not efficiency and maneuverability, making the Brat a niche product from the start. Subaru never really figured out how to market the Brat effectively, and sales remained low throughout its production run. The truck was more successful in other markets where small, efficient vehicles were more appreciated. But America wasn't ready for a tiny Japanese pickup. When Subaru introduced the larger legacy-based Baja in 2003, it was an attempt to recapture the Brat spirit in a more American-friendly package, but that failed too. Today, Brats are cult classics among Subaru enthusiasts who appreciate their unique character and surprising capability. 16th truck, Volkswagen Rabbit pickup. The Volkswagen Rabbit pickup was created during the fuel crisis of the late 1970s, when Americans were desperate for efficient vehicles, but it was too European for American truck buyers. Built from 1980 to 1984 in Volkswagen's Pennsylvania plant, the Rabbit pickup was based on the Golf platform and offered excellent fuel economy with decent utility. The truck featured a unibody design that was lighter and more efficient than traditional body-on-frame pickups, but it also felt fragile to buyers used to heavy-duty American trucks. You could get it with either a fuel-sipping diesel engine that delivered incredible mileage, or a gas engine that provided better performance, giving buyers options based on their priorities. The Rabbit pickup was actually quite practical for its size, with a decent-sized bed and the ability to carry surprising loads thanks to its low center of gravity. But American truck buyers wanted size and power, not efficiency and European engineering, making the Rabbit pickup a tough sell from the start. Volkswagen's dealer network wasn't equipped to handle truck buyers, and the company never really understood how to market the vehicle to Americans. The build quality was typical Volkswagen, good when it worked, but expensive to fix when it didn't, and parts availability was a constant problem. When the fuel crisis ended and gas prices dropped, demand for efficient vehicles disappeared, and the Rabbit pickup was canceled. Today, surviving examples are appreciated by enthusiasts who understand their unique character and impressive efficiency. 15th truck, Jeep Comanche. The Jeep Comanche was supposed to be Chrysler's answer to the compact pickup market, but corporate politics and poor timing killed what could have been a successful truck. Built from 1986 to 1992, the Comanche was based on the Cherokee platform and offered genuine off-road capability that most compact pickups couldn't match. The truck featured Jeep's legendary four-wheel drive system and enough ground clearance to handle serious off-road work, making it popular with outdoor enthusiasts who needed a truck that could go anywhere. You could get the Comanche with a range of engines from a fuel-efficient four-cylinder to a powerful V6, and the build quality was solid Jeep engineering that could handle abuse. The problem was that Chrysler was going through financial difficulties and couldn't afford to properly market and develop the Comanche, treating it as a low-priority product. The truck was also caught between markets, too small for buyers who wanted full-size capability, but more expensive than competitors because of its advanced four-wheel drive system. Chrysler's dealer network was focused on cars and SUVs, not trucks, and many dealers didn't understand how to sell the Comanche to truck buyers. When Chrysler bought AMC in 1987, they inherited the Comanche, but never really embraced it as part of their truck strategy. The company was more interested in developing the Dakota and Ram trucks, leaving the Comanche to wither without proper support. Sales declined throughout the early 1990s, and Chrysler finally canceled the Comanche in 1992. Today, Comanches are popular with off-road enthusiasts who appreciate their capability and unique character. 14th truck, Ford Courier. The Ford Courier was Ford's first attempt at a compact pickup, but it was actually built by Mazda and rebadged, showing Ford's lack of commitment to the small truck market. Sold from 1972 to 1982, the Courier was essentially a Mazda B-Series truck with Ford badges, offering decent quality and reliability, but lacking the American character that truck buyers expected. The Courier was introduced when fuel prices were rising and buyers were looking for more efficient alternatives to full-size trucks, but Ford never really embraced it as a serious part of their truck lineup. The truck offered good build quality and reliability thanks to Mazda's engineering, but it felt foreign to American buyers who were used to larger, more powerful trucks. Ford's dealer network wasn't enthusiastic about selling small trucks, and the company provided minimal marketing support for the Courier throughout its production run. The Courier was popular with buyers who prioritized efficiency over capability, but most American truck buyers wanted size and power, limiting its appeal. When Ford decided to develop their own compact pickup in the early 1980s, they canceled the Courier and introduced the Ranger, which was more successful because it was designed specifically for American tastes. The Courier represented Ford's half-hearted approach to the compact truck market, and its cancellation showed that rebadging foreign vehicles wasn't a long-term strategy. Today, Couriers are appreciated by collectors who understand their quality and efficiency, but they're remembered more as curiosities than serious trucks. 13th truck, Chevrolet LUV. The Chevrolet LUV was GM's answer to the growing compact pickup market, but like Ford's Courier, it was actually built by a Japanese manufacturer and never felt like a real Chevrolet. Sold from 1972 to 1982, The LUV was built by Isuzu and offered good quality and reliability, but it lacked the American character that Chevrolet buyers expected. The name stood for Light Utility Vehicle, which perfectly described its mission as an efficient alternative to full-size trucks during the fuel crisis era. The LUV offered decent capability for its size and excellent fuel economy, making it popular with buyers who needed basic truck utility without the cost and complexity of larger vehicles. But Chevrolet never really embraced the LUV as a serious part of their truck lineup, treating it as a stopgap measure until they could develop their own compact pickup. The truck's Japanese origins were obvious to buyers who were used to American trucks, and many Chevrolet dealers weren't enthusiastic about selling what was essentially a foreign vehicle. GM's marketing support was minimal, and the company seemed embarrassed by the need to rely on a Japanese manufacturer for their compact truck. When GM decided to develop their own compact pickup in the early 1980s, they canceled the LUV and introduced the S10, which was more successful because it was designed as a real Chevrolet. The LUV represented GM's reluctant entry into the compact truck market, and its cancellation showed that American manufacturers needed to build their own vehicles rather than rebadging foreign products. Today, LUVs are appreciated by collectors who understand their quality and historical significance as early compact pickups. 12th truck, Dodge D50. The Dodge D50 was Chrysler's entry into the compact pickup market, but like its competitors, it was actually built by a Japanese manufacturer and never felt like a real Dodge. Sold from 1979 to 1993, the D50 was built by Mitsubishi and offered solid quality and reliability, but it suffered from the same identity crisis that plagued other rebadged trucks. The D50 was introduced when Chrysler was in financial trouble and couldn't afford to develop their own compact pickup, so they turned to their partnership with Mitsubishi for a quick solution. The truck offered good build quality and decent capability for its size, but it felt foreign to buyers who expected their Dodge trucks to have American character and personality. Chrysler's dealer network wasn't enthusiastic about selling small trucks, and the company provided minimal marketing support throughout the D50's long production run. The truck was popular with buyers who prioritized reliability and efficiency over size and power, but most American truck buyers wanted something bigger and more capable. The D50's Japanese origins were obvious to anyone who looked closely, and many buyers felt like they were getting a foreign truck with Dodge badges rather than a real American pickup. When Chrysler finally developed their own compact pickup in the mid-1980s with the Dakota, they kept the D50 around as a smaller alternative, but sales continued to decline. The D50 was finally canceled in 1993 when Chrysler decided to focus on their own truck designs rather than rebadged imports. Today, D50s are appreciated by collectors who understand their quality and reliability, but they're remembered more as placeholders than real Dodge trucks. 11th truck, Ford F-100 Flareside. The Ford F-100 Flareside wasn't a separate model, but the cancellation of this classic bed style represents the end of an era in pickup truck design that many enthusiasts still mourn today. The Flareside bed featured distinctive bulges over the rear wheels that gave trucks a unique, muscular appearance that was both functional and stylish. Ford offered the Flareside option from the 1950s through the 1980s on various F-Series trucks, and it became synonymous with classic American pickup styling that influenced truck design for decades. The Flareside bed was originally designed to accommodate wider rear axles and larger tires, but it evolved into a styling statement that made trucks look more aggressive and purposeful. The distinctive wheel wells became a signature design element that separated Ford trucks from their competitors and gave them a unique identity in the marketplace. But as aerodynamics became more important for fuel economy, the Flareside's bulky design became a liability rather than an asset, creating drag that hurt efficiency. Ford gradually phased out the Flareside option in favor of more aerodynamic style-side beds that offered better fuel economy and more cargo space. The last F100 with Flareside beds were built in the early 1980s, marking the end of a classic design that had defined Ford trucks for 3 decades. Today, F100s with Flareside beds are highly sought after by collectors who appreciate their distinctive styling and classic proportions. The cancellation of the Flareside represents the triumph of efficiency over style, showing how practical concerns eventually override aesthetic considerations in truck design. 10th truck, Chevrolet El Camino SS. The Chevrolet El Camino SS was the muscle car version of Chevrolet's car-based pickup, and its cancellation marked the end of an era when trucks could be genuinely fast and exciting. Built during various periods from 1968 to 1987, the El Camino SS combined the utility of a pickup with the performance of a muscle car, creating something unique in the automotive world. The SS versions featured big block V8 engines that could make serious power, turning the El Camino into a tire-smoking, quarter-mile eating machine that could haul your gear and embarrass sports cars. The concept was brilliant. Take the El Camino's practical design and add enough power to make it genuinely exciting, creating a vehicle that could work during the week and play on weekends. Early SS models with 396 and 454 big block engines were genuinely fast, capable of low 14-second quarter-mile times while still offering pickup truck utility. But emission regulations and fuel economy concerns gradually neutered the SS's performance, turning it from a muscle car into a mild-mannered truck with sporty trim. The insurance industry also targeted high-performance vehicles in the 1970s, making SS models expensive to insure and limiting their appeal to younger buyers. By the 1980s, the El Camino SS was a shadow of its former self, offering more style than substance as Chevrolet focused on efficiency over performance. When Chevrolet canceled the entire El Camino line in 1987, the SS died with it, marking the end of the performance pickup era that wouldn't return until the 1990s with trucks like the GMC Syclone. Today, El Camino SS models from the muscle car era are highly sought after by collectors who appreciate their unique combination of utility and performance, representing a time when trucks could be genuinely exciting rather than just practical. 9th truck, Dodge Lil Red Express. The Dodge Lil Red Express was Dodge's attempt to create a performance pickup during the malaise era, and while it was successful for a brief period, changing regulations and market conditions killed this unique truck. Built for just 2 years, 1978 and 1979, the Lil Red Express was designed to circumvent emission regulations by being classified as a truck rather than a car, allowing Dodge to install a powerful 360 V8 engine. The truck featured distinctive styling with wood-grain side panels, chrome exhaust stacks, and bold graphics that made it instantly recognizable and gave it genuine personality in a sea of bland 1970s vehicles. Performance was impressive for the era, with the Lil Red Express being one of the fastest vehicles you could buy in America during the late 1970s, capable of 0 to 60 times that embarrassed most sports cars. The truck became a cultural phenomenon, appearing in magazines and TV shows as a symbol of American performance during a time when most vehicles were slow and boring. But the Lil Red Express was essentially a loophole truck that exploited regulatory differences between cars and trucks. And when the government closed that loophole, the party was over. Emission regulations were tightened for trucks, making it impossible to continue offering the powerful engines that made the Lil Red Express special. The truck was also expensive to produce because of its unique styling and low production volumes, making it unprofitable when performance was no longer possible. Dodge canceled the Lil Red Express after just 2 years and 7,700 units, making it one of the rarest and most collectible pickups ever built. Today, clean Lil Red Express trucks are worth serious money among collectors who appreciate their unique place in automotive history as the last gasp of 1970s performance. 8th truck, Ford Lightning First Generation. The first generation Ford Lightning was Ford's attempt to create a performance pickup that could compete with sports cars, but poor timing and limited production killed what could have been a game-changing truck. Built from 1993 to 1995, the Lightning was based on the F-150, but featured a supercharged 5.8-liter V8 engine that made 240 horsepower, making it genuinely fast for its era. The truck featured lowered suspension, unique styling, and performance-oriented interior trim that set it apart from regular F-150s and gave it genuine sports truck credibility. Ford's special vehicle team developed the Lightning with serious attention to performance, creating a truck that could run 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds and handle surprisingly well for its size. The Lightning proved that pickup trucks could be more than just work vehicles, showing that there was a market for performance-oriented trucks that combined utility with genuine excitement. But Ford was conservative with production numbers, building only about 11,000 first-generation Lightnings over 3 years, making it more of a halo vehicle than a serious profit center. The truck was also expensive compared to regular F-150s, limiting its appeal to enthusiasts who were willing to pay extra for performance rather than mainstream buyers. Ford's marketing was limited, and many potential buyers didn't even know the Lightning existed, reducing sales and making it seem like a failure rather than a success. When Ford canceled the first-generation Lightning in 1995, it seemed like the end of the performance truck experiment, though they would later revive the nameplate with even more success. Today, first-generation Lightnings are highly sought after by collectors who appreciate their rarity and significance as Ford's first serious attempt at a performance pickup. And folks, if you're enjoying this deep dive into canceled pickup history, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more automotive content you won't find anywhere else. 7th truck, Chevrolet 454 SS. The Chevrolet 454 SS was GM's answer to the performance pickup market, and while it was more successful than Ford's first Lightning, it was still canceled too soon due to changing market conditions and corporate priorities. Built from 1990 to 1993, the 454 SS featured a big block V8 engine that made 230 horsepower and 385 pound-feet of torque, giving it serious low-end grunt that made it feel faster than its numbers suggested. The truck was based on the C1500 Sportside and featured lowered suspension, unique wheels, and distinctive graphics that made it instantly recognizable as something special rather than just another work truck. Chevrolet marketed the 454 SS as the fastest production pickup in America, and while that claim was debatable, the truck was genuinely quick and had the sound and feel of a muscle car. The 454 SS proved that there was demand for performance pickups, selling better than Ford's Lightning and showing that truck buyers wanted more than just utility from their vehicles. The truck was popular with enthusiasts who appreciated its old-school approach to performance, using a big, naturally aspirated V8 rather than complicated forced induction systems. But the 454 SS was expensive to produce because of its unique engine and low production volumes, and emission regulations were making big block engines increasingly difficult to certify. GM was also going through financial difficulties in the early 1990s and couldn't afford to continue low-volume specialty vehicles that didn't contribute significantly to the bottom line. The truck was canceled in 1993 after about 16,000 units were built, making it relatively rare but not as collectible as some other performance trucks. Today, 454 SS trucks are appreciated by collectors who understand their significance as early performance pickups, though they're often overshadowed by more famous muscle cars from the same era. Sixth truck, GMC Syclone. The GMC Syclone was the most radical pickup truck ever built by an American manufacturer, and its cancellation after just 1 year represents one of the biggest missed opportunities in truck history. Built only for 1991, the Syclone featured a turbocharged and intercooled 4.3-liter V6 engine that made 280 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, making it faster than most sports cars of its era. The truck could run 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds and cover the quarter mile in the low 13s, performance that was absolutely shocking for a pickup truck and embarrassed vehicles costing twice as much. GMC's Special Vehicle Operations developed the Syclone with all-wheel drive and sophisticated suspension tuning that made it handle like a sports car rather than a truck. The Syclone proved that pickup trucks could be genuinely fast and exciting, showing that there was no reason trucks had to be slow and boring just because they were utilitarian. But the Syclone was expensive to produce because of its complex drivetrain and low production volumes, and GMC built only 2,995 units before canceling the program. The truck was also impractical for real truck work because of its lowered suspension and performance-oriented setup, making it more of a sports car with a bed than a real pickup. GMC's marketing was limited, and many potential buyers didn't understand what the Syclone was or why they should want one, reducing sales and making it seem like a failure. The cancellation was particularly frustrating because the Syclone had generated enormous enthusiasm among automotive journalists and performance enthusiasts who recognized its significance. Today, Syclones are among the most collectible pickups ever built, with clean examples selling for serious money among collectors who appreciate their unique place in automotive history. Fifth truck, Ford F-150 SVT Lightning, second generation. The second generation Ford Lightning was supposed to be Ford's ultimate performance pickup, but despite being more successful than the first generation, it was still canceled when changing market conditions made performance trucks seem irrelevant. Built from 1999 to 2004, the second generation Lightning featured a super 5.4-liter V8 engine that made 360 horsepower in early models and 380 horsepower in later versions, making it genuinely fast by any standard. The truck could run 0 to 60 in the mid 5-second range and cover the quarter mile in the low 13s, performance that was impressive even compared to dedicated sports cars of the era. Ford's special vehicle team developed the Lightning with sophisticated suspension tuning and all the right performance modifications, creating a truck that could handle as well as it accelerated. The Lightning was more successful than the first generation, selling about 28,000 units over 6 years and proving that there was a real market for performance pickups when they were done right. The truck developed a loyal following among enthusiasts who appreciated its combination of utility and performance, and it became a popular platform for modification and racing. But the Lightning was expensive compared to regular F-150s, and rising fuel prices in the early 2000s made performance trucks seem irresponsible rather than exciting. Ford was also dealing with financial pressures and decided to focus on more profitable mainstream vehicles rather than low-volume specialty trucks that required significant development costs. The Lightning was canceled in 2004, and Ford wouldn't offer another performance pickup until the Raptor arrived in 2010 with a completely different mission. Today, second-generation Lightnings are popular with collectors and enthusiasts who appreciate their performance and relative rarity compared to regular F-150s. Fourth truck, Dodge Ram SRT-10. The Dodge Ram SRT-10 was the most powerful pickup truck ever built when it was introduced, but its extreme nature and high price limited its appeal and led to its quick cancellation. Built from 2004 to 2006, the SRT-10 featured the 8.3-liter V10 engine from the Dodge Viper, making 500 horsepower and 525 pound-feet of torque in a pickup truck that could embarrass supercars. The truck could run 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds and had a top speed over 150 miles per hour. Performance that was absolutely shocking for a full-size pickup and made it the fastest truck in the world. Dodge's Street and Racing Technology division developed the SRT-10 with serious performance modifications, including upgraded suspension brakes and aerodynamics that made it handle surprisingly well for its size. The SRT-10 proved that pickup trucks could have supercar-level performance, showing that there were no limits to what was possible when manufacturers were willing to think outside the box. But the truck was extremely expensive, costing nearly twice as much as a regular Ram, and putting it in luxury car territory where buyers had many other options. The SRT-10 was also impractical for real truck work because of its performance-oriented setup and expensive components that weren't designed for heavy-duty use. Fuel economy was terrible even by truck standards, and rising gas prices made the SRT-10 seem irresponsible rather than exciting to many potential buyers. Dodge built only about 9,500 SRT-10s over 3 years before canceling the program, making it one of the rarest and most extreme pickups ever built. The cancellation marked the end of the horsepower wars in the pickup truck market as manufacturers shifted focus to efficiency and capability rather than pure performance. Today, SRT-10s are highly collectible among enthusiasts who appreciate their extreme performance and rarity, representing the peak of what's possible when manufacturers throw caution to the wind. Third truck, Chevrolet SSR. We mentioned the SSR earlier, but it deserves a higher spot on this list because it represents everything wrong with early 2000s automotive thinking, when manufacturers chased trends instead of building vehicles people actually needed. The SSR was supposed to capture the magic of classic hot rods in a modern package, but what GM created was a confused vehicle that satisfied nobody's real needs. The retractable hardtop was an engineering marvel that turned the SSR from a pickup into a convertible, but it made the truck bed almost useless and added enormous complexity and cost to the vehicle. The styling was pure retro fever dream that looked cool in concept drawings but seemed cartoonish in real life, especially when parked next to real trucks that had honest, purposeful designs. Performance was initially disappointing with a weak V6 engine that made the SSR feel slow despite its sporty appearance, though GM eventually added an LS2 V8 that made it respectably quick. But the SSR was too expensive for most buyers, too impractical for truck work, and too weird for mainstream acceptance, making it a niche product that appealed to a very small market. GM spent enormous amounts of money developing and marketing the SSR during a time when they should have been focusing on improving their core products and fixing their quality problems. The SSR became a symbol of GM's confused priorities. Second truck, Ford Ranchero. The Ford Ranchero deserves the second spot on this list because its cancellation represents one of Ford's biggest strategic mistakes, opening the door for competitors and showing how corporate short-sightedness can kill successful products. Built from 1957 to 1979, the Ranchero pioneered the car-based pickup concept and proved that there was a real market for vehicles that combined truck utility with car comfort and style. The early Rancheros were genuinely stylish vehicles that offered a unique alternative to traditional pickups, appealing to suburban buyers who wanted utility without the rough ride and poor fuel economy of truck-based vehicles. Ford continuously updated the Ranchero throughout its production run, moving it to different platforms and keeping it competitive with changing market demands and fuel economy requirements. The Ranchero was profitable for Ford and had a loyal following among buyers who appreciated its unique character and practical advantages over traditional trucks. But Ford never fully committed to the Ranchero concept, treating it as a niche product rather than a serious part of their truck strategy and providing minimal marketing support throughout its production run. When fuel economy became critical in the late 1970s, Ford decided to focus on their traditional pickup trucks rather than continue developing the Ranchero, despite its superior efficiency. The cancellation in 1979 left the market to Chevrolet's El Camino, which continued until 1987 and proved that demand for car-based trucks remained strong throughout the 1980s. Ford's decision to abandon the Ranchero concept was particularly short-sighted because it opened the door for competitors and showed a lack of understanding of changing market demands. Today, the Ranchero's cancellation is seen as one of Ford's biggest missed opportunities, and the company has never successfully returned to the car-based pickup market, despite several attempts. First truck, Chevrolet El Camino. The Chevrolet El Camino takes the top spot on our list because its cancellation in 1987 marked the end of an entire category of vehicles and represents the biggest missed opportunity in pickup truck history. Built from 1959 to 1987, with a brief hiatus in the early 1960s, the El Camino proved that car-based pickups could be successful, profitable, and genuinely useful for a wide range of buyers. The El Camino offered the perfect combination of car-like ride quality and handling with enough utility for weekend projects and light hauling, creating a unique niche that no other vehicle has successfully filled since. Throughout its production run, the El Camino was consistently profitable for Chevrolet and maintained a loyal following among buyers who appreciated its distinctive character and practical advantages. The truck was particularly popular during the muscle car era, when SS versions offered genuine performance that could embarrass dedicated sports cars while still providing pickup truck utility. Even during the malaise era of the 1970s and early 1980s, the El Camino remained relevant by offering better fuel economy than traditional pickups while maintaining its unique appeal. Chevrolet's decision to cancel the El Camino in 1987 was driven by changing safety regulations and the company's desire to focus on traditional trucks, but it eliminated an entire category of vehicles that many buyers wanted. The cancellation left a gap in the market that has never been properly filled, despite several attempts by various manufacturers to revive the car-based pickup concept with vehicles like the Subaru Baja and Honda Ridgeline. Today, the El Camino's cancellation is seen as one of the automotive industry's biggest mistakes, eliminating a successful product category that could have evolved and thrived in today's market. Clean El Caminos from any era are highly sought after by collectors who appreciate their unique character and the way they represent a different approach to truck design that emphasized style and efficiency over pure capability. The El Camino's legacy proves that there was room in the market for vehicles that didn't fit traditional categories, and its cancellation represents the triumph of corporate conservatism over innovation and customer choice. There you have it, folks. The 20 canceled pickup trucks that could have changed everything, but instead became cautionary tales about corporate short-sightedness, poor timing, and missed opportunities. From the Chevrolet SSR's confused identity to the El Camino's tragic end, these trucks represent billions of dollars in development costs and countless hours of engineering work that ultimately led nowhere. But every one of them tells a story about the challenges of building successful vehicles in a competitive market where timing, execution, and corporate commitment are just as important as good engineering and design. The El Camino and Ranchero proved that car-based pickups could work, but both manufacturers abandoned the concept just when it could have evolved into something even better. Performance trucks like the Lightning, Syclone, and SRT-10 showed that there was demand for exciting pickups, but they were canceled when fuel prices rose and corporate priorities shifted. Even the weird experiments like the SSR and Rabbit pickup had their fans and could have found their niche with better execution and realistic expectations. Today's truck market is more diverse and successful than ever, but it could have been even better if manufacturers had shown more commitment to innovation and customer choice rather than playing it safe with conventional designs. These canceled trucks remind us that progress isn't always linear, and sometimes the best ideas have to wait for the right time, the right company, and the right market conditions to succeed. If you enjoyed this deep dive into pickup truck history and the vehicles that got away, make sure to subscribe for more automotive content that explores the roads not taken and the machines that could have been. Until next time, remember that every canceled truck represents someone's dream that didn't quite make it to reality.